Hey, welcome back, everybody. Of course, you know me. My name is Dr. Keith McNally. This is Coach's Corner. I'm here with Anthony Hall, and Anthony is a wordsmith. Everybody say, hey, Anthony. So, we're going to talk to Anthony about his business. We're going to get to that in just a bit, but it was kind of birthed from the idea that words are important, and the way we use them is even more important, and that's not even a word. But Anthony, talk to us about why words are important.
Hey, thank you, Keith. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here on Coach's Corner to kind of begin on, telling the story and unraveling, my preoccupation with words and what words mean and the power of words. I grew up. I love to read, but one of my, my mother instilled in us the love of reading, and so I was drawn to books that could just, suspend your disbelief or transport you to another place.
Hmm.
And so I gained a great appreciation for words. But one of the issue, one of the things I struggled with was organizing the thoughts and feelings and going on in my head into words that were coming out of my mouth. And so for a while I grew up, my speech impediment was stuttering, and so I had to, that was something, and I still do it sometimes, but it's I know that it's part of my process of growing that I needed to slow down and let my mouth catch up with my thoughts and
Mm,
be more intentional about how I spoke.
I like
But
that.
but thank you. And
Well,
really,
I say that. Well, let me just kind of interrupt because I say that I have a personal. I don't stutter. My daughter does, and so it's kind of impacted how she felt about herself, how she interacted with others, and how she
yeah.
engaged with people in the classroom. Now, we do have her in an IEP for school, but wow, I so appreciate it that we kind of share that. How did you overcome that?
Well, I mean, my parents were old school. It's like, we're not taking, they're Air Force vets. We grew up in North Richmond, California, kind of a notorious area. I tell a story about from Easter Hill to Silicon Valley, but that journey through, through this, life, on the other side of the tracks. And, I mean, one of the things I had going for me, I was a little wizard from Ohio State. I was a great football player. So, I mean, I was one of the short kids, but I was always the first one picked. But, I had, and so with certain things, with certain people, I didn't have any problem talking and, jibber jabbing, I mean, that was one of my things. I love to talk, but in certain instances, where I'm talking to my parents or teachers, someone in authority,
Mhm.
I couldn't get things out. And so, again, coming from kind of old school, it was really forced. It's like, okay, you're not going to hide behind your mama's legs or hide in the corner. You're going to get engaged. And we were actually, we we got educated in public speaking. And as I grew up in a religious household, when my mother started studying the Bible when I was in seventh grade, she said, "Okay, you and your sisters, you gotta start studying as well." And so part of that Bible education was being able to reason from the scriptures, being able to do that from door to door, to take a scripture and apply it to what's happening today, and hopefully leave an encouraging thought. Conducting Bible studies, giving talks in front of the congregation, and so you just have to do it. It was just one of the things you just have to do it. There's not really a lot of hiding behind it, but it's just getting out and also having a support system around you that, okay, yeah, you're doing it, and you get encouragement for that. And then, but oddly enough, I found myself getting very comfortable going to somebody's door, talking to them while they're fixing their car, and just chit chatting. It's like, okay, it doesn't have to be something all dogmatic and, oh, I'm trying to convert this. But hey, man, I see somebody working on. I saw this. See somebody working on their Harley Davidson and said, "Hey, my uncle used to be a drag bike racer," and so and and so but it was through that support and background of training. Quiet, Peaches. Sorry. So,
So from
and
that, you've learned to master words and you've learned to master the value of words. Can you talk to me about that?
yeah, coming from kind of a background and a kind of my one of my intangible drivers is as a servant of service. How to be of service and and how we use words, whether it be in education or with each other, and the impact that they have on us.
Right.
And so I know that they had on myself, and I know the impact of teasing and bullying, even not only from people outside, but even from your parents or
Yeah.
siblings. And so that cuts even deeper. And so I've always been preoccupied with the words, whether it be in scripture or from, quote from Abraham Lincoln, or, I mean, these masters of these one line sentences that just evoke so much, evoke so much feeling and thought and can become transcended just in a couple of sentences. So, that power I witnessed not only with you see out in the general public and how these words, how these phrases just move. They bring revolutions, they bring change.
Yeah.
And so how then can we engineer that to for ourselves?
Well,
How do we do that?
yeah, I think you found the answer to your question because in a previous conversation, you asked me to use my own name and take the letters of my name. So my first name is Keith, Keith, and then craft 5 words from each of the letters. What is that? What would that, if I were to do that, what would that do for me? How would that make me
Okay, well,
understand me better?
okay, and so and that's where the application will be coming in to track all that, and so you have like a database of the words that you use. But you think about it, you have to have an intent, though. Okay, what is your intention? Okay, and what is the context that you're going to be defining yourself in
Okay.
relation to what? To the dreams and aspirations that you have, to where you're at right now. Um, it can be done in a lot of different contexts. How do you,
Well, challenge me. Give me context. I want to try it
okay, okay,
with my own name.
okay, with your own name, create a descriptive sentence. So what you're going to do, so you have 5 letters, and so choose two words that start with with the letters of your name that are aspiring to you. So ascendant, transcendent, awakened, spiritual. What choose 2 words and then craft the other words around them to create a sentence to link them. And so when you think about making a descriptive sentence, I mean, it's the first stage is really just list the qualities, so forth. The second stage is craft a sentence. Now take some of those words that start first. So the first step is to list a list of qualities. KIETH. So
Can you
list.
let me do that? Let me try to do that. So K would be kindness. I'm going to go with the easy ones, right? Um, E, how about energy? Is that good?
That's
I,
perfect.
is it? Okay,
It's
because,
they're your words, brother. It's your experience. It's
well,
your experience. So
so
yeah.
kindness, energy, insight for I, because I need some of that when I do these podcasts. Um, T, that's a tough one. I don't want to use the word tough though. That wasn't what I meant. T's a tough one though. What would you pull from T? I want to go with tenderness. I kind of want to balance this out. And then H,
Mhm.
um, help or helping or helper, something like that. How so
Yeah.
kindness, insight,
Kindness,
insight,
kindness, energy, insight,
energy.
energy,
What was the T word again? I need to write this down.
tenderness,
Tenderness
tenderness,
and helper.
tenderness, and helper.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you examine those words. Okay, now, okay, so then you take it a step further. You take a word like kind. What does that mean to you? Take so just say you have to do kindness, just do KIND. Define what kind means to you. And so you go down that list of words and then define, what does kind mean to you? And then you add it all together, then you see a bigger picture. You do all that with all those words and you continue the process, you start to paint a picture of the kind of words that you're using. And and the interesting thing would be to how do they match up with the words you use on a daily basis, evaluating that.
So you use this as a structure and format to build an educational service or an educational business? Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Okay. So take Stork. So take Grandpa Stork. All
That's
right.
you.
STORK. That's
Yeah.
me. Okay. You say you want to do my name. Okay, here's one of my names. So Anthony Hall, AKA Grandpa Stork. It'll start to clue you in on what I'm about. Space tourism, Operation Real Kids. And so that starts to define what Grandpa's about, what the Roads of Education organization or TREO is about. But then there's a secondary definition for the stork: sports technology, optimizing reflex kinetics. So then that involves one of so we're working on it. So the Roads of Education is a space tourism industry startup that intends um, to develop the games and sports humanity will play in space. And so we're starting here on terra firma, but we also want to make sure that children in Africa, children in Cambodia, children in India, living in the slums and ghettos of these countries, that they aren't a captive audience as humanity takes this next grand voyage among the stars, but that they can aspire to become captains of industry and of enterprises, in this new space economy. And so these games are an outreach of part of that is how do we identify, nurture, and cultivate this next generation of leaders and innovators. And so these games, but part of that is meant to be how do we help not only young people but old people? How do we define ourselves? How do we walk through this earth confidently and in belief in ourselves? And part of that begins with the words that we use and the way that we feel and how we communicate these and how we express them.
But you're just not developing this. You actually go to these places. You've been
Yes.
there. Yeah, you've been there and seen the
Yeah.
need. Can you talk about
Yeah.
that a little bit? Where have you been?
Okay. Okay. So I started my travels in February 2014. It was meant to be just a 2 week trip, 3 hour tour, like
I
Gilligan's
know it.
Island.
I know it.
It's just supposed to be a 2 week exploratory trip to Tanzania. It'd be my first trip, to the African continent, and just to test these concepts that I had been developing over the past 3 years. The Roads of Education or Trail was began as a LinkedIn open group as a way for me, in 2010, as a way to kind of start talking to folks who were smarter than me because I'm not an educator, I'm not a game developer, just in my head. But if I'm going to do, if I plan to do something impactful and follow this vision, that I knew I needed some learning, and so I created a group for me then to start working with these folks who could kind of help vet the ideas. And so after 3 years of that, I said, okay, let's take this out in the wild. Let's test these concepts. And so the group allowed me to make connections with organizations in Cambodia and India and Brazil and Germany and Kenya and Malawi and Tanzania and South Africa. And, so it started in 2014 for a 2 week trip. Went so well that first 2 weeks, I said, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to extend it. And so after like 8 day layover in Dubai, I went to India for a month. And so this process has gone on for the past nine. So I've been on the road for the past 9 years. 20 countries visited. I've lived in 8 countries. Um, um, and so many impactful, um, just playing games. All we're doing is just saying, hey, we have this game. We hope, and what was interesting is that, to find that, I wanted to see how do kids in or individuals in Cambodia or in the US or in Germany or in Tanzania or in Ireland, how do they play the games? Are there differences? And how do we express ourselves? And so
Yeah.
part of this traveling has been, you know, exposing the idea. And so I think for entrepreneurs, then the tendency is to hold these things back. But because it was like, okay, we're just working on the chalkboard. We're using sticks and bricks and coconuts, to model, to prototype and demonstrate their thing. So it's like, these kids don't have iPads or internet connection or anything, but we can use what's around us, and so that's been part of it. That process is that of simplification as well, and that we don't have to go to great lengths. We can look within ourselves and like even our own name to start making a discovery of things that we, it's like a new truth has our nature's yearning. So you asked me about Anthony, so that's my name. And so, that's one of the things I sent you that for me, when I, think about the words I used to express, and ask me, okay, we're going to take apart your name. And I had done other ways, like the way I used to define what the technology is about. I used my name as a way of that, but then also thinking about, what do I aspire to, what I hope other people will aspire to, that within themselves are truths, that,
Well, can
we
we talk
can,
about that? What have
yes.
the kids that you have impacted, what are they now aspiring to based on their interaction with you?
Well, so that's part of the process too, because I've been to a lot of countries, and only a few have I been back kind of multiple times. But one of the things that was kind of touching and dear to me, that I've been working in the slums in Kibera, largest urban slum in Africa. So this is in Nairobi, Kenya. And so it'd been a year since I had done this art, fitness, and literacy program at the school in the slum called Chiri Children Education Center. And I'm just, I come there to visit. I'm going to, I hadn't gone back to the school yet, but I was staying nearby. And so I'm just walking around, and I'm walking near railroad tracks. I'm in the hood. I'm from the hood, so it doesn't bother me. I walk around there like I'm one of the natives. And so people, they say, Grandpa, you're more African than we are. So, but as I was walking, this young kid walked by me and said, "Hey, teacher." I said, "Wait a minute. Were you at church?" I said, "Yeah, I went to church last year. You were blah blah blah." And so for me, that type of impact where, you know, I think, but so that's an enduring impact. But one of the best impacts is that that you can show a child a coconut and then tell them, and then show that how um, they can believe that they're on the back of a dragon flying, and to witness that, and to think that I never knew that I could do that, or that something as simple as that could be used to create a virtual reality dragon flying game. So that you could take something like a coconut, and so it's watching that process as their eyes open in amazement and say, what are you going to do with that? They try to stand on it, and it's like, oh, then they get it. But one of the most, so that, but one of the other impactful ways is but especially using this acronym game. For my first trip to Africa in 2014, I visited a school up in the Kilimanjaro Moshi area, and so Kibo Secondary School. So we're playing the real names game, and a young woman comes up. She must have been about 15 or 16, and she wrote the word Africa, and so Africa, and she wrote ancestors, former residents in country America, and that just blew me away. That so ancestors, so Africa, ancestors, former residents in country America, and so for me that showed a depth of compassion and understanding, and just creative thinking. You could string those words together, bring them together, Africa and America, and but it was just, for me, that was something so positive and so powerful. And so, but I've had many experiences like that, watching kids come up with these, using their names to state their truth in such thought provoking ways. And so but yeah, so impact. Those are some of the some of my tops.
Well, as an educator, and with the limited time that we have left, as an educator, where do you see this going in the next year, 2 years, 12 to 24 months? Where's your impact going?
Okay, so we're in the process of securing the patent for one of the other games as well as for Real because of the visions we have for that. And so once it's just a matter of money. You got the money, you can pay for it. So $5,000, you can get your provisional patent. So, but that'll buy us protection for a year and time to secure the rest for a utility patent. That would be 15 to 30 grand. But we see that in the first 90 days after we we get our patent pending, that we'll have start being able to monetize some of the games and licensing with the schools that we partner with and been working with the past 9 years around the world in over 20 countries. And so we have them set up as a way to, they're part of our kind of play testers and
Mhm.
distributors, and become part of our partners, our co-development partners in this kind of effort, that we're harnessing the power of the crowd, and that once and basically the infrastructure is built, the engine is ready. We just need a little infusion of investment to prime the pump. And so patent pending will now allow us to pursue, like my man mate of mine said, nobody will write you a check if you don't own it. And so I trust him
Exactly.
explicitly. So I'm following Samson Williams' advice and getting this done. And so yeah, we believe that in the next 3 to 5 years, that not only will games have really matured, and so over the next over the next short time frame, we'll have launched the games and continued development in these countries that have visited and partnered with us. So we're looking to do a multiple an international launch. I'm revisiting all these places that have been formerly, giving them not just the chalkboard version of the game or the coconut version of the games, but bringing the real McCoy there, and they become, be part of the next plate tested version. And so that way we not only, so because they're partners, they get that for themselves, and so then they can tweak it and licenses and white box it the way they want to, and they become part of a larger ecosystem. That just imagine you have all these countries around the world playing these games, and they're connected by this common language of compassion of what the real name of the games is about, and that they're sharing their experiences through their words and through their names. And so they're starting to uncover bias, seeing not how much we're different, but how much we're the same. And so ultimately, we look to create an application that's called One Story. One story of humanity will have enough information that we can craft a story of kind of a common story of humanity and our experiences to really unite us.
We found each other on LinkedIn. Where else are you on the web? Are you anywhere? Where can we find you?
Yeah, Facebook. So I'm on Facebook. I think I just changed that to Grandpa STORK. So Facebook /Grandpa STORK. Well, no, I did that still. I think it's Anthony Hall. On Instagram, it's Grandpa STORK. I'm on Twitter as I am only Clay. I'm on YouTube, Grandpa STORK. You know, TikTok, Instagram, yeah, Skype.
Cool.
I'm a lot of places. Website. Website is up. Um, trail-inc.com. And so we're going to be taking it down to do some changes and updating. But for the moment, you might be able to see, you can see what we're doing about. But we have a LinkedIn open group as well. So the Rose of Education organization. And that's where it all started. Once upon a time in the garden of technology, there grew a rose of education. That garden of technology was LinkedIn, September 2010. Then November of 2010, Trail was incorporated. So yeah, we'll be celebrating it
Pretty soon.
13 years.
Yeah, pretty soon.
Yeah, November 24th. Yeah, so Trevor
Well,
will be 13.
I want to congratulate you on your your current success and your continued success. And I'm going to put all that contact information in the description of this video. Grandpa Stork, thank you for having a conversation with me. For those of you who are watching and listening, this has been another edition of Coach's Corner, and I'll see you next time. Take care.